Welcome to another episode of ELEV8 by Mdina Partners, where our guest Patrick Debattista, who's a finance professional, has a mission to democratize finance so that it is no longer the best kept secret, but it becomes a great tool for all leaders. I'm your host, Kat, and together with Steve, we welcome Patrick. Patrick, I think we crossed paths about 6 years ago, and my first thought was, he's a bit too enthusiastic to work in finance, this guy. And the energy that you brought forward for finance has been consistent. So this mission to democratize finance, another big word in front of a scary word. What does it actually mean?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Kat. And we're getting old, aren't we?
No.
But basically, I'm a consultant, a financial content creator, and also a lecturer/trainer.
Okay.
And the first time that I started teaching was when I was barely 19.
Okay.
And I was approached by this visionary psychologist who wanted me to give private lessons to her son in statistics, who had failed his exam.
Okay.
And I didn't know the least bit of statistics. I just passed my first year exam. Okay. But it transpired that her thinking was that rather than have someone teach her son in a more traditional student-teacher way, she wanted a peer mentor-like relationship that I could be on more of an equal footing with him. And that approach seems to have worked. And sure enough, the guy passed his statistics exam and is now an accomplished marketing professional.
Okay.
And as I progressed throughout my career, I worked in business advisory, I worked in investment management, in Malta, London, also in Spain, in a stint. And a common theme would always emerge that when I'm in the same room with my peers and colleagues, that we'd be speaking in this financial jargon. And that by the end of it, we all end up confusing ourselves even more. Okay,
so it's not just the people outside finance, you do it within the group.
Oh no, it's our best kept secret actually.
Okay.
It's almost who knows the most jargon, right?
Exactly.
So luckily I kept teaching.
Okay.
And again, I progressed to MBA levels and I started training corporate professionals and boardroom leaders. And I found, unfortunately, that a number of leaders would struggle with basic financial concepts. And so my solution to that was to try and roll back the years to when I was 19, in my bedroom, literally, and use the same non-conventional techniques that I did in the past. And somehow it seems to have done the trick.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I think if I look back to the things you're doing on TikTok, the things you're doing on Instagram, and again, I am someone, Steve will confirm, who is allergic to Excel sheets. I mean, every board meeting, as soon as the numbers come up, everyone looks at me sorrily. But there's definitely been this great flux of information coming through your channels, which has simplified things for me, for sure. So, first of all, thank you, because I needed it as well. And you are right, there is a massive gap in coming, I think, to a certain level. It's not even just leadership. I think it's also any place in life where we get to an age and we need to understand finance and we don't. So I think that is an excellent service. It's a beautiful mission, I think, that you're on.
Have you found other finance people supporting this mission of yours?
Yeah, to be honest, most of the people I speak to, and it's a weird feeling getting recognized in the street, by the way. It's not me at all. I'm a very private person, believe it or not, inwardly. But there has been a whole swath of support and also people seeking to collaborate.
Okay.
Given that we're finally out there spreading the word. And it's true, my dream is simply to make financial knowledge accessible to everyone. Whether you're young or old, rich or poor, because it has to be.
Yeah.
And it needs to be compulsory knowledge for everyone.
It should be in the schools, right? That's
1000%, Steve. Yes. I am a big advocate of this. Obviously, I cannot go it alone, but there needs to be a whole systemic change and push, which there are a number of organizations and players and stakeholders trying to push this, but we all need to do more. So I've tried to, in a way, take matters in my own hands, but there's only a ripple that I could cause in
I think it's an effective ripple already, though. So, Pat, when when we're talking about the challenges, what are some of the challenges you've encountered in translating financial concepts to people like me who just block?
Yeah, so off the top of my head, I could think of three main challenges. The first one is that finance people seem to be, or we tend to live in one world, and then other people tend to live in another. So the challenge is to try and bridge those two worlds by understanding your audience, reverse engineering their background, their sort of emotional, let's say, aspects in life, and catering to that specific audience in, let's say, in layman terms. So that's number one. I'd say number two, like it or not, finance is a dry subject. It's inherently dry. So
I'm glad you agree.
Oh yeah, 100%. So that's probably the biggest challenge. Because trying to break down complex financial theories into digestible, let's say, concepts that are understandable for everyone is probably the number one challenge. But that's what I try to do, especially given this generational shift that we're seeing with not just today's generation, but also us. At least if I can put up my hand myself, my own attention span has declined dramatically over the years. So I try to cater to myself as much as to my audience by putting short, snappy.
Yes.
I guess so. And that's number two. The third, yes, I think the third challenge is sectorial, industry-wide. So finance is a very lucrative career, or can be a lucrative career. So the opportunity cost of transitioning from finance into, let's say, teaching or training is very high. So by design or by default, very few people end up doing it. So I try and bridge that gap as well by entering and catering for this wide cross-section of society that needs to be financially empowered.
Yes. And I think that's it. It is a service, first of all, because I would say looking within, I will always say that the business is about the people, but I can only say that the business is about the people because financially someone's taking care of that aspect for me. So then I can really, focus on that culture and whatever. But also, that's it, it's people like yourself who have the experience in businesses that are the best to be translating this. It's people who have had, have worked on businesses, have sat on boards that can really contribute in this kind of forum, I would say. So linking to that, what are the strategies or techniques that you have found really effective in helping non-financial professionals make more informed decisions?
So you touched upon a really good point. It's that we are all a series, we are all a sum of our own experiences, right? We are a story. And storytelling is an extremely effective way of getting a message across. And I try to reach out to tap into sort of my past experiences and create concepts or teach concepts drawing from my previous experience. So I'll give you a silly example, right? One key financial tenet is the difference between revenue, profit, and cash, right? And I could go on and explain to you what the differences are, but chances are we'll go out of this room and
I'm gonna still need help.
Most likely. So what I've done in one of my videos actually, and the way I try and teach is through analogy, through my own experiences. So for example, in a previous job, I had 3 bosses. The first boss was focused on generating more and more sales at whatever the cost. So they just wanted the numbers to look better and growth and generate as much volumes and as much sales as possible. The second boss was more interested in lowering expenses. Okay, so the difference between revenue and costs and lowering expenses would increase the difference between revenue and expenses, and it would increase your profits. And the third boss said, to hell with all this, hang on there. You can generate the most revenues in the world. You can be the most profitable company ever, but
people need to pay.
Exactly. Are your clients paying you? Are you trying to manage the difference between what you pay and what you receive, or vice versa? And these are the type of examples that tend to stick.
Perfect. No, and in fact, I've watched that video and took my notes. And
Thank you.
and what it is on your mission, in my opinion, is making it less painful. I am never going to be loving finance, but I think it's about making it more digestible and empowering people, and that's it. Empowering people to be able to be in a room and know what's happening around them. And I guess this also links to you. Steve, you sit on quite a few different boards. What's your experience of financial knowledge in varied boards you've sat on?
So I think in the majority of cases, there would be the majority of the board, other than the CFO, and maybe 2 or 3 other people on a board of, say, 10 people. The majority would not understand enough about the financials. So especially when it comes to where the audited figures are being presented and the auditors are there, you've got the auditors and the accountants sitting in the room actually talking this language or jargon that you refer to, Patrick. And I think it takes a strong either chairman or a CEO of that particular situation that starts to force an explanation of what's being actually discussed in a very simplified way. So I just support very much, and it's very much needed what you're trying to do, because actually the subject is so important, and I think it's made complicated for not good reasons.
Yes.
It needs to be simplified.
And the impact of that is creating a lot of insecurity for individuals around that table who would have loved to ask a question, who would have loved to contribute, who would have a valuable contribution, but hold back because what if I didn't quite understand it? And to be honest, again, always in reference to being in a helicopter and being outside is the best place to ask the questions. It's the people who don't understand the finances who are usually going to see the mismatch, who are usually going to go, but what are we doing here? Does this make sense? Rather than someone who's in the numbers all the time. And in fact, again, absolutely not a sales pitch, but one of the things we're doing with Patrick is organizing a finance course for non-finance people. I will be the first student. You can try all the material on me. We'll be launching it shortly, but that is definitely an opportunity because it's frustrating. I would say it's embarrassing. And it's such a loss for the businesses who have, generally well-paid board members who are not able to always contribute because of that lack of insight.
So necessary for every C-level person to have.
Totally.
A basic knowledge of the let's call it the basic knowledge of the financials of the business that they're working.
But that is the crux, I think. You get to C-level and you're either missing the HR side, you're missing the finance side, you're missing the marketing side, or the tech side. One of those is usually, and this is, I think, you're a perfect example of the first mission, but really being able to bring people forward with all of that strength, not expertise. No. But at least understanding.
Knowledge.
Yeah,
that's all.
Valuable.
In fact, I'm gonna butcher Steve's quote slightly.
Okay.
I remember Steve, you telling me that, and I quote this very loosely, but you told me that an organization is a bit like a tripod, where you'd have the financial arm, you'd have the people, and now the tech.
Yes.
Of course. And it's very funny because whenever people enter my courses, you can feel the fear. It's palpable. It literally it cut the silence.
But that's
because
you're scary.
It must be that.
No, it's the topic.
Yeah, but the topic is very scary. It's very, very challenging. But once you dig deep, break down, cut through that complexity, and also not just pour into the numbers, but also create a narrative around them. And there's also a storytelling element to the numbers, because it's not just the numbers. Then people start to get more confident and more happy. And that is where the value add to society comes in, as you rightly say.
Totally.
And I also think it's when people realise that the numbers at the end of the day are the result of many different people's behaviour within the organisation.
Exactly.
You know? And it's a summary of what all that has achieved or not achieved. Really.
That's right. And we all need to have this basic financial knowledge. It's you're not going to be a very technical person, but if you understand how to read a balance sheet or how to interpret an income statement, then you'll have visibility of virtually all the areas of a business.
Yeah, and how to read a cash flow forecast properly.
Yeah.
Most importantly. In fact, yes, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, but cash is reality.
Cash is king.
Cash is king always.
Definitely. And I think what's lovely is that you're not just doing this in the context of businesses, but you're also doing it from the outside of businesses, which is, helping people be more aware of their financial well-being rather than just, pushing it to the side because it's something they don't understand. So, okay, Pat, from your experience now, because obviously you've had probably a few poor souls like myself come to you with questions, what do you think are the most misunderstood aspects of finance?
There is one major area for sure.
Okay.
And that is the myth that finance is all about the numbers.
Yeah.
It is not all about the numbers.
Okay.
There is a whole story behind numbers. There is a whole narrative. So the numbers will help you, will aid you, point you in the right direction, ask the right questions, but they are not the end.
Okay.
Right? They're a means to an end.
Okay. So what you're telling me is exactly they are the summary, and I should be more curious rather than blocked because I need to know the story underneath it. So I think that's a beautiful way of, and very much summarizes my allergy, fear, trauma. Excellent. So bringing this all together, Pat, how do you think that finance departments, CFOs within organizations can really help foster more of a culture of financial literacy and empowerment within organizations?
Okay, so money and finance impacts us all, whether we like it or not. So on average, we all make around 6 to 10 money decisions every single day. So that means that one way or another, finances or money are going to affect us. Yeah. So might as well try and learn a bit more about finance so that you can be part of this whole world, if you like.
Yeah. True. So it's, I think it's an appeal to have more Patricks around Instagramming away to make this accessible.
Isn't one not enough?
Your enthusiasm might cover it, it's true. And I think it's another appeal is to possibly people like myself who have that fear to at least attempt to ask, to get curious, because it is a bit more simple. Then we allow ourselves to see. Relax about it. Excellent. We're bringing this together. First of all, thank you, Patrick, for the mission you are fulfilling, but also for being here today. And exactly, I look forward to more collaborations with you because I really feel like you've hit the mark on something that I needed in my life. So thank you. And thank you to you listeners for joining us today. We look forward for you to join us for another episode next month. And with that, thank you and take care.